of them starting at the beginning of the season. I don't know the rep count in practice. I don't know how many looks they had against the number one defense. I know Myles Garrett rushing is completely different than the other guys that are in there. But that's what I said after Shedeur's performance. I said that performance should have bought him more reps of good on good in practice to compete for who was going to be the number two guy to eventually be the number one. Like, that sounds logical to me. The one thing that worries me, and we talked about this last night, is if you're getting to this point with Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders, and you're saying we're 2 weeks away from the season, now we're going to start treating one of you guys like a backup, and something bad happens to Joe Flacco, both are set up for failure. Yeah. And that's the part that bothers me. I'm saying if you didn't have Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders, because Kenny Pickett has been dealing with the injury, obviously, if you didn't have them getting second team reps, at times getting reps with the one, and now you going into this point real saying, games. Hey, Dillon, you the two, or Shedeur, you the two. Well, bro, I'm so far behind of what it's like to be out there with David Njoku. I'm so far behind game-like scenarios that Joe Flacco has been through a million times.
Yeah. So let me make sure I'm clear on what you're saying. At this point, they need not only to choose their starter, but choose the backup. They have to pick the rookies.
100%.
I agree. Say that guy is next.
They can't split reps going forward.
Yeah, like you in season.
Flacco gets hurt in the first game, they're not going to look at the sideline and go, who wants to play?
Right.
Like, they got to know who it is that's ready to go.
But shouldn't they have, like, to me, it should have been, if that's your mindset, right, we're going to start one of these veteran guys, it should have been two competitions going on at the same time throughout training camp. Figure out who the best older veteran guy is, and we're going to figure out who the best rookie is, and we walk into the season with those two people, 1-2 on the depth chart, understanding that's the way we'll play out.
That is my point.
And if
we know that's what they did.
If they had all stayed healthy, I think that's exactly what would have happened.
That's the thing.
They didn't.
Sanders played that entire game because Gabriel was hurt, and then Gabriel played the entire game because Sanders was hurt.
Sure.
So again, we're sort of taking Kenny Pickett out of this, maybe wrongly.
No, wrongly, but he has missed the most practice time in the camp.
I guess what I'm saying is, in your mind, and look, we've seen whatever little we've seen. There's no way to know.
Yeah, I don't know
which guy
that answer
should be the number two.
Each guys have one body of work that we know of.
Right. Yeah.
And by all reports, at least that I've seen, Shedeur's been the best in practice, numerically and just kind of like visually. How reporters have said, like, Shedeur has looked the best day after day after day. They both have had a start and both have played pretty darn well. But to Marcus's point, I do think that's important because, and this is with all due respect to the two young kids, the regular season's a different beast.
Yes, sir.
The speed at those starting defenses is a different animal. So, like, you want those guys to get reps against starting defenses. And to RC's question, I do think Cleveland would be smart to build in a period where that backup quarterback as a rookie plays against your starting defense and Flacco doesn't. Just because the speed is a different world.
We had periods that was competition periods. Right, you'd be the end of the practice, and you might say, okay, we're going third down here, we're going 2 minute here, we're going red zone here, right? It's unscripted, and both coaches on each side of the ball are calling the plays as the ball moves. Those guys need those sorts of reps against the Myles Garretts and the Denzel Washingtons in case they have to be thrust into the game.
It's pretty rare.
Denzel Washington?
But
I'm sorry,
Denzel Ward. Denzel Washington would also be an interesting.
I'm putting cases on.
So that really has become the narrative here is, are the Bengals and this dreadful defense in a season coming off a year, and you just heard Troy say it, in which Burrow played about as well as a quarterback can play, and they didn't make the playoffs. Are we concerned that they are wasting this stage of Joe Burrow's career?
Absolutely. I mean, if you watched that game last night and you think about, especially early on last season, we've watched people run for more miles against the Cincinnati Bengals than David Goggins. And he's in like 200.
Stay hard.
Yeah, he's in like 200-mile races every other month. The Cincinnati Bengals are trying to figure out a way to capitalize on having one of the best quarterbacks of this generation. And so what they did in the offseason was re-sign T. Higgins, re-sign Jamar Chase. But now you're looking at a defense that hasn't improved. And not only has it not improved, but you also haven't signed your best player and one of the few impact players that you had on that side of the football. If you're Joe Burrow, the reason that you're out here in the preseason is because you know you have to score 40. The reason that you're trying to do different things while you're trying to get reps with second-team wide receivers is because you know you're going to need them at some point in the season in order to make plays to help a defense that's going to be absolutely putrid. And when you watch this in the preseason, you have to be sick to your stomach because you know there's going to be some games where you sit in the post-game press conference that you scored 35, 38, maybe 41, and you still catch an L.
They had those last year. And Graziano, obviously, the hanging over all of this is the Trey Hendrickson, who still doesn't have the deal he wants and still isn't playing. Is there any reason for optimism that they will have him when the season starts?
There's plenty of reason for optimism, and you hear it when you listen to the broadcast last night and people talk about having spoken to him and what he has said. He wants to be in Cincinnati. They have an agreement in terms of length of the contract and the amount of money. It's just about the guarantees, and we know from experience the Bengals don't like to guarantee money in future years. So whatever the resolution is, it has to be along those lines. He probably has to give. They probably have to give. But I don't think he's getting traded. I don't think at this point in the offseason anybody's going to give the Bengals what they want and also give Trey Hendrickson what he wants. So I think they find their way back to each other. The question is just when.
Gotta find my way back.
Dude, the Bengals front office and team and coaching staff has to be in full-on panic mode.
Yes.
That was terrible last night. Mm-hmm. It was terrible last week. It was terrible last year. They're worse, it looks like, right now. And this, when you watch them, it's like bad gaps, bad angles. They look slow. I mean, that defense looks slow. This is the Deebo Samuel jet sweep. And you guys know this defensively better than I. These guys are running into each other defensively. No one's got any gap leverage. No one's got any angles. I mean, this is stuff that was supposed to, at least the controllables, get fixed. They in Cincinnati blamed all of this on Lou Anarumo from last year, their old defensive coordinator, that they just wouldn't run to the football. They couldn't tackle any better. This is Jayden's scramble. Look at the difference of speed between him and everybody else on the field. I mean, this is a slow defense right now. There's 4, 5, 6 guys that barely touch him until he gets 2 or 3 yards from the end zone. Like, I know we want to come on TV and talk about the quarterbacks. This is scary in Cincinnati right now. This is way bigger than just Trey Hendrickson. Yeah. This is a absolute, they've already wasted a year, and it feels like they're going to waste another 2 or 3.
Daniel, they had Trey Hendrickson last year.
I know.
It's way bigger than him.
Oh my gosh, man. You're just
I don't know where the Cincinnati Bengals lost this identity. 3 years ago, we were talking about Lou Anarumo being a prime candidate for a head coach based on the way their defense. They had broke the Patrick Mahomes code that nobody could seem to break. Late in games, they were able to beat them and go to the Super Bowl. Where we sit today, it ain't enough points Joe can score to win games.
Like RC just said, you got to score 40 to win.
That's not.
There was no hyperbole.
But you won't be on the field enough to score 40 points a game. When the Ravens play you, how many possessions? We know how this goes, right? We know that Joe Burrow is one of the most devastating quarterbacks. Opportunity after opportunity. Bro, you asking him to be 100% based on that defense. You asking him every time you go on the field, you have to score, right? And you more